Welcome to Merryfield's Gardening Advisor, brought to you by the experts at Merryfield Garden Center. Join us as we discover beautiful plants, new trends, and exciting ideas for your landscape. So let's get growing together. Merryfield's Gardening Advisor, bringing out the best in your garden.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Merryfield's Gardening Advisor. We are so glad you could join us today. I'm your host, Debbie Warhurst-Kapp, along with gardening expert extraordinaire, Peg Beard. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, everybody.
And it's at least when I came in this morning, it's a rainy day, and which is a perfect time to nestle in, grab a cup of coffee or cup of tea, and get some great ideas for gardening.
That's right.
And it's the first official day of summer.
Is it?
It is. Of course, it's felt like summer has been here.
Well, last week.
I know. Well, yeah. And I always associate Memorial Day with the beginning of summer. But on the calendar, it's the summer solstice. It's the official summer. So it's a fun time of year.
And we could actually use the rain.
Yes.
Debbie said
especially
it was raining on her way on, and I said, was it raining in Tyson's Corner?
It always misses Peggy's house for some reason. I don't know why.
I hope the Lord intends us to have regular rains periodically through this summer.
Especially at night, overnight, and then be beautiful during the day.
Absolutely.
We're not asking a whole lot.
Nope.
So today we've got a great show for you. We're going to be talking about kind of a continuation of last week's, but beautiful structures, unique enclosures. Explain what we mean by that.
Yeah, enclosing your space. And last week, indeed, we did talk about the small spaces within a larger space,
right,
utilizing the dwarf evergreens or miniature evergreens, and a lot of the steppables, the things you can grow between the stones, and a lot of small but very fun plants. And I did explain that that was a garden beside the road, and it is enclosed, and so because everybody needs a sense of enclosure,
right,
you know, what can that do for you? Number one, it gives you privacy, which is important to a lot of us. And can keep down noise, certainly light, all of those things. But that sense of enclosure brings a comfort zone also.
And it defines your space, too.
That's very true.
Gives you a...
And so, because my garden is a fairly good-sized garden, there are spaces defined within it, and they are somewhat enclosed. However, the property lines, it's often important to define those spaces. Or if you've got a small townhouse backyard, it's really neat to define those spaces also. So that's really what we're going to talk about today. And we're also going to discuss the diversity that you can have within these spaces. One has to do a little research to come out and really look at some of these plants, because there are a lot of plants that are underutilized.
Right.
And I really brought along, as I so often do, went out into my own garden and just picked, okay, we'll hold it here just for you, David, okay? Picked a lot of the diversity that's there. There's the changes of texture, the broadleaf with the nice arborvitaes and hinokis, the junipers. So you've got the contrast with the rhododendron and with the euonymus. But you've got color contrasts in that too, and a lot of the pictures will reflect that. You've got the blue of the berries and the juniper. You've got the blue of the blue atlas cedar, and actually of the little rhododendron, the endometrium, the sort of fuzzy little thing that's on it, is actually a pickup with this.
It is. It's beautiful.
There's a certain amount of repetition that makes a garden feel comfortable and together, but it doesn't have to be the same plant.
Right.
It can be the same texture or the same color that carries that. So that's what the show's all about today.
Great. And we're going to be taking your phone calls later in the show, so look forward to that as well. Before we get started, just a couple of quick announcements. As you know, we at Merrifield Garden Center do a lot of giveaways for tickets, for Nationals tickets, Capitals and Wizards when they're in season, events at the Verizon Center, and Merrifield gift cards. So you just come in and register. Well, we're having a special separate drawing on Tuesday because on Monday. Katy Perry is coming to the Verizon Center on Tuesday. So we are going to have a drawing to win 2 tickets to see Katy Perry at the Verizon Center. So we're going to draw on Monday. First of all, you come in all weekend long until 10 a.m. Monday morning. No purchase necessary. You have to be over 18 to enter. One entry per customer per visit. Put your name in the drawing box, and on Monday we will draw our winners, and we will contact you. You have until 8 p.m. that night, Monday night, to let us know that we'd like to get the tickets, and you come by the Fair Oaks location and pick them up. And that way we want to make sure the tickets are used. So if you can't use them, we want to be able to offer them to someone else. So come in and register for those Katy Perry tickets. It's going to be a great concert. It's the Tuesday night concert. So come into all 3 Merrifield Garden Center locations and do that. And good luck. Also this weekend at our Fair Oaks location, the Potomac Lily Society is having their annual lily show. It is the 53rd annual show this year, which is fantastic. It amazes me, like the Rose Society, that there's so many years annually going on. It's wonderful.
And they'll be beautiful. I do recommend that you come and see this because lilies are so important in the garden. These are primarily the oriental lilies, and I've got a lot of my own coming into bloom right now, and I love them.
It's great. So again, as you saw on there, it's 12:30 to 5 today, 9 to 3 tomorrow. Free admission. Come on by, bring your family, bring your friends, and just really see some beautiful lilies, learn about them, talk to experts. It's a great opportunity. And we had the most fun the other day. We have a Facebook account, page, entity for Merrifield Garden Center. And of course, if you're on Facebook at all, you know that Thursdays are what they call Throwback Thursday. So you post older pictures and that type of thing. Well, we were going through, my son's been going through and archiving some of we're trying to get all of the old shows, episodes of the shows from the very beginning archived. And he found the original show with Dr. John, and you were there, and so several episodes. So he went through and kind of took clippings of some pictures of you and of me and of Kevin, and so we put them on Facebook. So if you're not Facebook friends with us, please go on there, check it out, and it's so fun. But we got a big laugh out of those.
Oh, we did get a laugh. I've said I've been doing this show for a long time.
Exactly, 1990.
That picture definitely said I've been doing it for a long time.
It was fun. But anyway.
And Kevin had hair.
And Kevin had hair. You didn't hear that from us, Kevin. Kevin is handsome.
Kevin is handsome. He is, yes.
So, well, let's see. Why don't we take a quick break, and then we'll come back with all of our pictures.
Okay.
Sounds like a winner? Okay, we'll be right back. Welcome back, everybody, to Merrifield's Gardening Advisor. We're talking about beautiful structures, unique enclosures today. And you've got lots of great pictures to share.
Well, I do, as I always do, because I do feel that a picture's worth 1,000 words. I can sit here and talk about this, and I can show you all these beautiful things, but that doesn't necessarily show you how they're used. And I think how they're used is very important.
Right.
And so I'm going to bring back a picture that I had used last week because it is of that space, and I wanted to talk now. We spoke about the things that were within that space. Now, we're not talking about big space here, okay? It could certainly be equivalent to anybody's townhouse garden, perhaps a little larger on the perimeters, of course. But all those small plants are within this space. Then on the outside of that space are the wonderful plants that I've enjoyed through all these years, which do give you that sense of enclosure. You do not have to have all evergreens to get that feeling. Within this space are wonderful Japanese maple. I love Japanese maple. The cascading that you see in the foreground, and in the background there's the upright. There are within this space also 2 or 3 others. There is the dwarf form, Montgomery I believe, of the blue spruce, which doesn't overgrow, and it's awfully nice to look at the ultimate size of these plants and the size of where you're putting them, because they do grow. There's Hinoki cypress, and in the background, if we go to the next picture, you will see a golden full moon maple, which never gets to be really a huge tree, and it's lovely pattern in that maple. Next to a Chamaecyparis called Crypsey. And then I again used this picture last week because there's intrigue when you have an enclosed space, and that's what you're seeing here. There's sort of a peekaboo thing. You can look through and into this garden and want to walk around on the other side and see what's there. And so that's part of this also. What are some of the things that you can use? You can see that there's what we just talked about earlier, the Japanese maple. Boxwood are a big thing for me. I love boxwood, and of course that is an evergreen. And there are others in the next picture that's coming up. You will see some different ones, and I said there are underused. There are many sizes of Hinoki cypress. You can get them from tiny little inches high to a foot high to 4 feet high and to 20 plus. And so there's diversity within that plant group. But on one side of that Hinoki cypress, there's Cephalotaxus, plum yew, and here is the up close foliage. This is very similar to the regular yew, but the deer don't eat it. At least they haven't eaten it. Okay?
I don't know that we ever can say they don't eat.
And this is also a very easy to control. Again, when you're making these choices, you want to choose plants that you aren't going to have to constantly be pruning.
Right.
To keep them within space. Now, I've had those plants in there for many years, and I have pruned some periodically.
Right.
On the one side was the Cephalotaxus. As I said, the Euonymus greenspire I didn't mention.
Right.
And I will go in and I will trim those periodically. Now is the time to do this. Pruning for these things need to be done now. I like to get it done before July 1st, if possible, because then the new growth can come along, it can fill out and be hardened off before winter hits. It's terrible to think about that, but yes, God willing, winter will come again. All right, let's roll through some of these pictures, because when you've got this sense of enclosure in the foreground, you have the opportunity, depending upon the type of sun that you have, for some other wonderfully interesting plants. In bloom now in the garden are Iris insata. There are many different kinds of iris, and this is one that will accept some moisture. You know, it's kind of persnickety about having a whole lot of moisture in the wintertime, so you have to be careful of that. So it'll grow in normal soil, it just doesn't want to be bone dry, but it is magnificent, referred to often as Japanese iris. In the next picture, I just took these pictures last week.
Oh, those are beautiful.
I have oriental lilies that bloom over a long period of time because there's different varieties. And I absolutely loved the color pickup, Debbie, in this one, because they were coming into bloom right next to the butterfly weed.
Pretty.
Coming in on the verbena. To get color all of the time, perennials, generally speaking, have a period of color.
Right.
When you've got this wonderful border which is the structure of your garden. And then you've got perennials and so forth coming into this to give you some additional color. Annuals, that was the verbena that we came in on. Annuals are the thing that will give you a longer period of color. So don't exclude the annuals from your repertoire.
Right. So you've got some more pictures to share.
Yes, let's shift gears. Let's change from one area to the next. This is my back garden. And as you see in the distance, there is a neighboring house. Now, for their benefit and ours, of course, this is an older garden, I realize, you know, and it's beneath large oak trees. And you have to respect the roots of those oak trees, by the way, okay? There's dogwood. There's, again, Japanese maple. There's redbud. Here, you're seeing a closer view of it. You can see the spaces are defined within the space, but this I consider my border of the property, and it's fairly deep because I have the space to do it. But if you don't, you can still layer. Think layering. What you're looking at here is several island-type beds. And one of them's underplanted with pachysandra, for instance. I don't get a lot of color out of that. I get azaleas, then I get some following up color with the dogwoods and the small trees that are there. Small trees are so valuable because a lot of properties simply don't have the room for really big ones.
Right.
So let's go to the next one, please. This is looking down. Actually, I took this picture from my upstairs window. And you can see that space can be enclosed very differently. This is looking out toward the space that you saw previously. As part of the shrubs that are in this area, there's rhododendron, there's azaleas, there's a number of different types of shrubs that actually front the small trees or are among them. But this Japanese maple actually is providing a ceiling, so to speak, for my deck, which gives you a comfortable sense of enclosure. And I really do enjoy that. And the next one will show you another very underused evergreen, and that's cryptomeria. Now, cryptomeria can be a really big tree if you've got space for that. But this variety, which is called black dragon, and they're even tiny little ones, but black dragon can go to 15 feet, which is a very usable shrub, okay? And in the following picture, you'll see a combination of plants here that can front some of those evergreens and or small trees, which can form your border. There's hydrangea and so many varieties of that. There's nandina, and there's rhododendron and camellia. So there's a lot of diversity, but it works well together. The following is a close-up of the dwarf Pieris japonica. Don't plant Pieris japonica in afternoon sun. It's not happy there. While you're looking over these various plants to see what do you really like, because you're going to have to live with these for a while.
Right.
While you're looking it over, look not just at the size and whether you like it, but where does it need to be? This would love morning sun, but afternoon sun brings on the pest problems, okay? So try to avoid that. And then the next one, another one that I really enjoy, and look at the diversity that's going on here, but it still doesn't look busy to me. This is the variegated Pieris japonica, and it has been beautiful. And there's coral bells here that gives you color. So you can have color without having flowers. There's hosta, there's liriope. It's just a beautiful area, and that's all adjacent to another, guess what? Japanese maple, okay? And the following picture, another wonderful plant. But if you have deer issues, you will have to watch this one. You'll have to spray it with Bobex at least once a month, or they'll devour this. I don't know what they like about Akuba. I like it also, and so I consistently spray that plant.
Right. With the Bobex.
And it's absolutely beautiful. Akuba doesn't like hot afternoon sun. Morning sun, yes, dapple light all day, but not the hot afternoon sun. Isn't it good that we're all so different?
That's right. That's right.
And plants are too.
There are, and there's just so many choices. And that's what's nice about bringing some of these to the forefront that people might not not necessarily think about.
Right. Absolutely. And there are a whole lot more too.
Right.
Just osmanthus is another one that I didn't talk about, and it'll grow in the full sun. But look how this osmanthus plays. Here we go. Plays against the euonymus, which is a broadleaf also, and the hinoki cypress. Think about how they combine and how they look together. You can then, because this is in front of it, you can bring up polygonatum. This is a perennial. Now, look how that plays together. Because the edges of that plant pick up the osmanthus. That's
Gorgeous.
what you have to think about. Let's quickly see a couple more pictures before we take a break.
A couple more before.
Let's run through the next couple. Oh, wow.
This intrigues me.
Is this ever fun? This is a red bud.
I know, I looked at that picture and I said, are you sure?
Yes, it is. It's a variegated red bud, and it really loves a little shade in the afternoon, although it'll take full sun. There is one at the Fair Oaks location that is absolutely magnificent right now. It's out near our straw trailer. It's just next to a gazebo. This can be part of your border, or it can be an accent plant. And I've got a couple of them, and I absolutely love them. Now we can, here are, if you've got a shady spot, okay? If that border, that background provides shade, you got to go to shade plants. I use a lot of boxwood. I use a lot of fern. And here you see the grass, Hakanakaloa. And this is all backed by a native holly. Lots of fun there, really.
And then
Lots of interest.
And then you've got a couple of hydrangea. Can't do without hydrangea.
Hydrangeas are beautiful. Well, unfortunately, our old-fashioned hydrangea got killed back, and we probably didn't get any bloom from those. But the newfangled ones, endless summer, I'm hoping. It's all out and looking good, and hopefully it'll bloom. Though it'll bloom a little later because that foliage.
It's definitely been a strange year.
Yeah, you're looking here at the hydrangea with the osmanthus. I encourage you to try osmanthus. They have a strange little thing that I haven't totally figured out myself yet. Some of them produce flowers that are so fragrant, it is wonderful. This is in front of that osmanthus. Beautiful, beautiful hydrangea with that broad leaf of the hosta and the fern all around it. Now, when that osmanthus comes into bloom, that's behind this, and you turn the corner, the entire atmosphere is filled, and this happens in the fall. You don't have to get down into it to smell it. It comes to you.
It's great.
And it's so nice when fragrance comes to
Absolutely.
you. Right now, my sweet bay magnolia is in bloom. And it's a good thing it comes to me because I can't reach the blooms anymore. Lots of fun things to look for when you're planning additions to your landscape or changes to your landscape.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Okay, let's take a quick break.
All right.
We'll be right back.
Yes.
There's the hat.
You need your hat.
Absolutely.
Yes. Where's my hat?
I know.
Well, I'm not
I
in
know.
the sunshine. Whatever.
Oh, goodness. Okay, we've got more pictures.
I do want to roll through several of these pictures because I really want to show you some plants up here. A still bee. Different varieties, different bloom times, long period of bloom. They're in bloom right now. Oh, come into the garden center and take a look at the colors. I love astilbe. And after the bloom is finished, the foliage is still beautiful. And this is actually on the corner of my house, and beside it is a really big hosta. I love the hosta also. Here's another really big hosta. Some people don't care for the blooms. I do. I love the blooms. And some of them are fragrant. And then the next one, please. Okay, I try to have privacy in all directions. You saw up by the road, you saw the back garden, and this is the side garden, and you can see the roof of my neighbor, a very dear, a very sweet neighbor. However, they enjoy their privacy, and I enjoy mine.
Right.
And what is there? There's foster holly, there's dogwood, there's azaleas, there's rhododendron, a lot of fun things. Now, in the next picture, actually I took this in the nursery. Yes, you can have a row, and it can stand alone, or it can be a part of another grouping. There's arborvitae. You don't have to have, if you've got a small space, great big things. This one grows to 15 feet. Within that area, in the next picture, you can have accent plants. Again, I just took this picture last week at the nursery at the Fair Oaks location.
Look at those unique
They're
structures in
wonderful.
those. That is
and
very
these
cool.
are the things that can give you within a border or wherever you need an accent plant. Now, I also stopped in and took a picture of a neighbor's garden. Beside this garden is a very busy road.
Right.
And this is beautifully planted. It is layered. It has a very old Japanese magnolia that has been limbed up and is so structurally beautiful. It has mid-size euonymus. It has borders in the front, and then it has some ornamental grasses. It's just a beautiful blend of plants. So this is an opportunity to grow more plants.
Absolutely.
And enjoy more plants. And in front of those, I've got to show you quickly, because I said, Debbie, we'll take phone calls today. I've got to show you some fun things that are in bloom right now. They're new things, okay? A new proven winners, Shasta Daisy. And this one is a creamy color. It's not white like so many of them. And really just incredibly beautiful perennials. So it's good to come in and see these things when they are in bloom. Isn't that beautiful? I love it. Now, here is something again. I have to try a new thing.
This is
I
very
have
cool.
to know, is this going to work? Gumfrina, old-fashioned bachelor buttons, is the purple one that you see here. And they're papery. They really are dry already. But you can cut them and use them in everlasting arrangements. Well, along came a new plant. We'll stay here because this is really interesting. Along came a new plant. And I put the tag over here. It's called Pink Zazzle. I don't know who names these plants, but anyway, it is a Zazzle, I guess. It is a type of Gumfrina.
It looks so different.
And it's papery. You touch it, it's papery. If I cut this off right now, it would not wilt.
Wow.
So, it's been planted in the garden.
And I love its fuzzy leaves.
And it's beautiful. And I don't think the deer are going to eat this.
Really? Okay,
well,
that'll be an interesting...
Generally speaking, the deer don't like fuzzy things. Now, one quickie, Debbie. Do we have time for a little bit more? Okay. We're talking about Japanese maple. And they are love, really. I have a lot of the purple ones. I have a few of the green ones. They all turn the most magnificent colors in the fall.
Right.
But look at the differers's in these. To me, it's just so exciting. This one is a small branch because I wasn't going to take a very big branch. It's not a fast-growing tree. This one is the full moon maple, and it stays a bit of a yellow tone depending upon how much sun it gets. Next to that is a fine leaf little variegated one, which is very interesting. And then another variety of the full moon maple that stays more green in the summertime.
As always, the choices are endless.
And of course, now this happens to be forest pansy redbud. But look what happens when you put that up against that leaf.
Beautiful.
Now, one more thing. One more thing.
Okay.
One more thing. You've got to put this in the garden. And it really wants some shade in the afternoon or dappled light. This is a hardy begonia. This is just the leaf. Absolutely.
That is huge.
Look at the veining and that. Now let me turn it around. That's the back
Wow.
side.
Very cool.
It's gorgeous.
Absolutely.
You gotta have it.
You gotta have it. You heard her.
You gotta have it.
Well, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to take your phone calls. 703-387-1046. Give us a call. We'd love to talk to you. Stay tuned.
The old-fashioned ones and my endless summer, which blooms on old wood from last year and new wood from this year. That got killed back also, and I cut that all the way down near the ground, and now the foliage is up.
Oh, great.
And that one, since it is a new variety, will bloom on new wood. So I have great expectations. It's just going to bloom later than normal, okay?
So it's okay to cut it back now.
If you put in one of the endless summer or a type of variety, if it's been put in recently within the last 8 years, 6 or 8 years.
No, these are like 38 years old.
Okay, then that's the old-fashioned one, and you won't get bloom until next year.
Okay, but I can cut them back now.
Absolutely. Take away the dead.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
Thank you for calling,
You've
Liz.
been so
That was a good
helpful all
question.
these years for me.
Thank you. Have a great weekend. Okay, our next caller is Bart, who's calling from Lanham. Hi, Bart.
Good
Good
morning.
morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Doing fine. Hope you all are doing fine too.
Good.
We are, I think. What's your question today?
My question is, we recently bought a house in Culpeper, and they have real tall Norway spruces there.
Yes.
And back in the corner of the backyard is a real low spot that I wanted to fill in with some topsoil and fill dirt to put a shed in. And we were told to be careful not to put too much in that would cover and hurt the Norway spruce root system.
Right.
Is there any concern about that?
Absolutely. You have to be concerned about the root system of any plant, sir. You don't ever want to pile topsoil on top of the root systems of trees. They have to have air to breathe, and even with a loose kind of thing, an inch or two at most. If you don't have a firm foundation for your building, is it because it's did you say a wet area?
It's a low area, and there in that immediate area, it's just red clay, and it's a low area where everything drains.
Okay, everything drains through. I think you're going to have to deal with moving the water away from where you want to build, and to build it. Hopefully, clay is a great foundation, and it's really much better to put buildings in on a firm foundation than it is on fill, okay? Fill has to be heavily compacted to put a structure on, and then you've got a bigger problem for that tree. Not only have you put fill in, but you've compacted it, and that's a death warrant for a lot of trees, okay? So go back and figure out your situation a little bit better before you begin, or
Okay,
you may
one more
lose
quick
that
question.
tree.
What if we were to elevate it, the storage shed up off the ground and where there's airspace underneath there?
You'll have to see what your building regulations are. I can't quote those, okay, but if they are on something that's structurally sound, certainly you can do that. But check out. I don't know whether you have to get a permit, and I don't want to go there. Okay,
Right.
That's not where we are today.
I was referring to the root system.
Do a little bit more research, because you need to respect the root system of that tree.
Okay. Thank you
for calling, Art.
Thanks, Art. Have a great weekend. Okay, we're going to take a quick break, and then when we come back, we're going to talk to Gerry. So, Gerry, hang tight for just a minute, okay? We'll be right back.
Enjoy outdoor living at its finest. At Merrifield Garden Center, our talented designers can create an outdoor living space so beautiful you'll never want to leave home. Whether it's entertaining family and friends on the patio or relaxing by the pool, Merrifield Garden Center can design the landscape of your dreams. From custom designs to distinctive walkways, outdoor kitchens, fireplaces, and more, the possibilities are endless. So contact Merrifield Garden Center today and enjoy the beauty of your landscape.
We're getting new carpet from Empire today. It's Empire's big whole house sale. We bought 2 rooms and got carpet for the rest free when we paid for padding and installation.
Empire's whole house sale is on now. Buy 2 rooms, get carpet for the rest free when you pay for padding and installation. Choose from top brands like Mohawk and Boyu. Don't miss. Buy 2, get the rest free. Schedule now.
800-588-2300 Empire.
Today.
A convincing 92% of KBB reviewers would recommend their Toyota RAV4 to a friend. And now, we've made it better. This is the new RAV4, ready to take you on life's adventures. Available with dual zone climate control, blind spot monitor, power lift gate, and plenty of cargo space. Buy a RAV now with 0% APR, or take a 2-year Toyota Care lease for as low as $189 a month and pay no scheduled maintenance. This is the new Toyota. Toyota. Let's go places.
At Merrifield Garden Center, we're serious about recycling. We take thousands of tons of soil, sod, and brush and convert them into soil conditioners and mulch to help gardens grow. We also recycle old pieces of concrete, which makes a great base for new patios, sidewalks, and driveways. If you have a big cleanup job, we can drop off a large roll-off container for the debris and pick it up when it's full. And you can drop off aluminum cans and other metal products for recycling at any of our stores. So at Merrifield Garden Center, going green is only natural.
Okay, welcome back. We're going to talk to Gerry. Are you there, Gerry?
Yes, I am.
Good morning. Good morning. And you're from Madison County?
Yes, I live in beautiful ARODA in beautiful Madison County.
ARODA. Wow. I've never heard of that. That's great. Thanks for calling in. What can we do for you today?
I've got a lot of grasses around my property, the ornamental grasses, the pampas, and so on. Most of them are very mature, at least 12 years old. And my pampas up on the top of the road, for the past few years, I always prune them in the spring, and it wasn't growing in the middle. It was only growing around the edges. But last year it was beautiful and grew also in the middle. But this year, all of my grasses, I have about 9 or 10 of them, they're all doing the same thing. They're just coming up around the outside edges and not in the middle.
That's what happens with ornamental grasses.
I have a friend who's doing the same thing.
On time. Yes. And what you're going to have to do is, and I don't know that I would do it right now in the heat of summer. I would probably wait until next spring when you cut them back, is to go in and get somebody heavy duty and whack down into that and move it. Because as these grasses age, you mentioned that they were 7 or 8 years old or older.
Yes.
As they age, they die out in the center. It's the nature of the beast. And so that's when you have to divide them and start fresh with a portion of it to eliminate that, and then you won't have to do it again for several years, okay? But that is what is happening, is it's simply aging and dying out in the center. Yeah.
Okay, that's good. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
And enjoy that beautiful area out there. Is it raining out at your place?
It's cloudy, but I don't see any clouds, rain clouds over, so I think it's going to turn up to be a nice day for us down here.
That's a great day to work in the garden. I love it when it's overcast.
Yes,
thanks so much for calling. Take care. Bye-bye. Okay, our next caller is Christo, who's calling from Bethesda. Hi, how are you?
I'm fine.
Good. What can we do for you today?
Well, I have 2 fig trees, one in the front yard, one in the back.
that are, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 years old and reached about, 7, 8 feet tall and sort of tree-like. I'd pruned them so they were one stalk. But now basically all the old wood is dead, and they are both sprouting, so the roots are still alive, hardy trees or figs. But I have all these little shoots, 10, 15 coming out of the roots. And I'm wondering whether I should cut the dead away now or leave it there as sort of maybe a structure to try to get the others to grow through. And then when or how should I prune it to be sort of a tree? I want one stalk and then, branching above, versus right now it's just like a little low-lying bush.
Trim out the old, the dead. It isn't going anywhere, okay? And believe it or not, I have one I've still yet to do that with. It died all the way to the ground. Fortunately, the 2 others that I had, we all have mini climates in our own space, and some things are going to winter better than others, and last winter was really unique, okay? Because my figs up until then had been gorgeous. But cut away the dead. It isn't doing anything any good. Then you're going to have to make a choice. If you want a single stem tree, you want to choose the strongest and remove the others, because you're starting over, okay?
And so right now, it'd be hard to pick a strongest. Is that the longest?
Well,
they've already started sort of splaying out.
You don't have to do that right away. You can wait for a while to decide which one you're going to deal with. And I don't know if you have the space or not, but you can kind of go down into there and see if there's any. If it's above ground, there aren't any roots, obviously. If it's coming out of the ground, there may be little roots where you could cut that off and start a new one somewhere, But you'd have to do some investigating with that. Otherwise, at some point in the game, you're going to have to make a choice as to which one you're going to keep.
Right, and then I do have some friends who've sort of let theirs just become bushes, and that, obviously is one choice, but then it becomes sort of a much bigger, low ground, hard to mow around it, etc.
Absolutely. So those are your choices. You can leave it multi-stemmed. You can, at some point, choose which one's the strongest. And in reality, you can let it continue to grow and make that choice when it comes out next year.
Right, because it's not like I'm going to get any fruit this year.
No, I doubt it. I doubt it.
Right.
Okay.
Great.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Christo.
Have a wonderful weekend.
You too. Bye.
Okay, let's see. Michelle is calling from Roundhill, Virginia. We're getting some nice distances in the calls today. Good morning. How are you?
Oh, I'm wonderful. How are you?
Great.
Good. First of all, I just want to tell you I love your show. It's really fantastic.
Thank you.
So I thank you for that. But I have a question concerning my husband and I had a pool built last summer, and we have the pool equipment outside of the fenced area, the pump and that type of thing. And we wanted to put in some type of natural landscape to kind of screen that area, and I was wondering if you had any ideas about that.
Well, we just talked about a lot of incredibly beautiful plants that can be used for screening purposes. And certainly if you come into the garden center, you can walk the walk and see a lot of the choices that you have to make. And depending upon the space, I still believe in the layering wherever it's possible, okay?
Okay.
Now, where a pool is concerned, I feel you really need to look at whether a plant is evergreen or deciduous, because if they lose the leaves, you're going to have to deal with those leaves going into the pool. And you're also, like for instance, Japanese maple, there's a certain amount of droppage. So consider that. Consider what do you want to strain out of that pool. Okay.
Right,
sorry to be so quick.
We do not want any trees or any leaves going into the pool. So
Absolutely.
I'm thinking more of like an evergreen type.
We have run out of time. I'm so sorry. Thanks for the call. Thanks for joining us today, everybody. Next week we're going to be talking about outdoor living at its best. Renetta Holt's going to join us, and we hope you have a great week. Come by and see us at Merrifield Garden Center today.